Good evening. I'm Lee Abraham, and I am the organizer of the workshop this evening. And if you'll indulge me, I'm going to read for some prepared remarks here briefly, and I promise I will keep it brief. I'd like to welcome all of you, and that is whether you've flown 2,400 miles from Tucson, Arizona, or whether you're joining us from around the corner, to join us with our distinguished panel of speakers, who will be presenting, and I think probably more importantly, dialoguing with me and with all of you around notions of urban and linguistic landscapes. And here you see what I hope begins a discussion that is later carried on in the reception upstairs after 6:30, which is the bird's eye view of an urban and linguistic landscape, such as New York City, or wherever the environment in which you do research, teach, live, or work, for that matter. So tonight's dialogue is an integral part of a workshop that will be held tomorrow for language faculty from the Consortium on Language Teaching and Learning. And I am pleased that the executive director of the consortium, Elsa Manatadou, is here with us. And she'll be addressing a little more in detail the role of the consortium and what the consortium actually does. I would like to mention Angelica Craig Flores, with whom I co-direct the Spanish language program. And this is also on page 2 of your handout, I might add, with whom I co-direct the Spanish language program at Columbia, and who, along with Pascal Hubert-Liebler in the Department of French, Jutta Schemmers-Heller in our Department of Germanic Languages, and Barbara Spinelli in our Department of Italian, as well as our colleagues who are in the audience at Princeton, Yale, and the University of Pennsylvania, received funding from the same consortium that funded this project for a wonderful project called Teach World Languages, which I encourage you to certainly have a look at. To the many students and faculty joining us from Teachers College in Barnard, from CUNY, NYU, Rutgers, and beyond, welcome again. This workshop that I spoke about is being led by a team of outstanding colleagues in my department, as well as the Department of Spanish and Latin American Cultures at Barnard. The Department of Sociology, Columbia Center for Teaching and Learning, Columbia Center for Spatial Research, who are all joining us tonight and who will be with us tomorrow. So I have to kind of mention that this is part of a larger workshop and acknowledge a special note of appreciation and gratitude to Van Tran in Columbia's Department of Sociology, Michelle McSweeney in the Columbia Center for Spatial Research, Paul Stengel in the Center for Teaching and Learning, David Malinowski, who's doing double duty, Stefan Charitos, Maria Eugenia Lozano of Barnard, Juan Pablo Jimenez Caicedo, and Reyes Llopis Garcia, and the last two from my department, last but not least. And I have to say that this has been an amazing collaboration of, as you just heard, faculty and staff from many different units across campus, among institutions. And given that the theme that David and Alana are going to talk about is place, I think it's worth mentioning that all of them have taken precious time away from family, friends, and colleagues in order to work with you today and to work with you tomorrow. And I think it's they took time away from the places that they shape and make together. And I can't thank them enough for all of the hard work that they have done to make this event and tomorrow's event possible. It's been an amazing team. And then, of course, we are ecstatic to have Alana Shahami and David Malinowski as part of this particular event. And we're thrilled that we could kind of get them in the same room with all of you to begin a dialogue around notions of urban and linguistic landscape. Let me talk a little bit about the list of co-sponsors on page 1. And you have the list there, but it bears repeating that a number of departments and institutes, all of whom do work in urban and linguistic landscapes, have sponsored that. And those institutions are given on page 1 of the conference program. And I must extend a word of gratitude to all of those departments in particular. I'd like to thank my department chair, Alberto Medina, who will speak next, for his encouragement to begin to explore interdisciplinary notions of urbanism across literary, linguistic, and cultural studies. I'd also like to thank my colleagues in Catalan, Portuguese, and in the other 40 or so languages that we teach here at Columbia, many of whom are joining us today, and I saw a few a few minutes ago, and those who could not join us, but all of whom, I'd like to say, are at the forefront of language teaching in the country. And I don't think I'd be exaggerating in saying that, and who are consummate language educators.